So that's the most beneficial aspects of a same-sex relationship. So now let's take that and just look at this last data point here, which is the most beneficial aspects of an opposite sex relationship. And between the men, okay, this is men and women in a friendly relationship here, rank 1 through 10. Number 1 is they can talk openly. Number 2, information about the opposite sex. So they get an inside information, kind of like what Lynnette was just talking about. Number 3, self-esteem boost. I mean, hey, if you're walking with a beautiful woman, you're going to feel like the man. Number 4, a friend is respected by others. If they, got some esteem, you're going to feel proud of that. Number 5, dinner companions. So you guys can go out to eat together. For men, a long-term mate potential. So we kind of are looking at, you as being a potential long-term mate. Number 7, giving time to help a friend. Number 8, resource gain. Number 9, increased social status. Number 10, protection. So that's the last thing on our list. And the last data point here I'll put out is the most beneficial aspects of opposite sex friendships. And this is from the women's side. Number 1 is they want a dinner companion. Number 2, they want a friend that's respected by others. Number 3 is protection. So women break down that protection. Number 4, talk openly. So they want to talk openly with with their girlfriends more than with the guy friends, but they're still in the top 5. Number 5, information about the opposite sex. Number 6, self-esteem boost. Number 7, no long-term mate potential. Number 8, resource gain. Number 9, giving time to help a friend. And number 10 is networking. So now that everyone's seen those data points, is anyone shocked by that?
So, no, I'm not shocked because there's something that stood out to me that men in this survey, and granted it's been a long time, men saw opposite sex friendship as a long-term mate potential, while women saw it as no long-term mate potential.
Exactly.
And so the question is,
well, it's because there's a lot of here that I read that I don't have up, but men prefer. The reason why women don't like the short-term relationship, and I don't have to tell you this, is because there's a lot more baggage that goes along with that. For us guys, we can just hit it, quit it, keep moving. For women, they're concerned about getting pregnant. They're concerned about being called a hoe out in the streets. So there's, the short-term benefit for women is a reason why a lot of times women don't want to do that kind of like, short-term type of thing. Because that leads into the long-term.
Right.
Do you agree with that?
Yes, I do.
Well, Clint, you look like you were dying to say something.
Well, because I'm just surprised that on this particular one that you have up, there's no networking. And then when they did have networking, it wasn't in the top 5, because at one time that was like my top 5. If I'm around you, there's a networking thing involved,
Now, when you say networking, do you mean like this? Because guys, beyond sex, one of the reasons why men will be friendly to women, because most people think it's for sex, a lot of the times it's just to meet the friends, the one that they might want to have sex with, because they might not want to have it with you, but we will smash. But
where your girls at?
Exactly.
Well, is that too? And then there's that person that could get you into this other place that you've been trying to get into for a while, and it's like, oh, this such and such, and then it's all who so it's a networking thing, and there is that networking of who's your girlfriend and who's that and who's this and all that. There's always that. Men are always looking at women like, I could probably be with her.
But have you ever did that? Like thought like, hey, I'm gonna keep her around so maybe I can meet her friends?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. There, back in the day, I used to have this acronym, this STD, and it stands for something to do. So it was just like, hey, I'll hang around her. It's something to do. STD, Oh, who's that? Oh, that's just an STD. you know.
Oh my gosh.
And you get that reaction, and then you be like, no, something to do.
Something to do.
Okay.
And I'll be perfectly honest, like, I'm pretty transparent on all my platforms. I'm single. And I love my girls. I do. I love my girls. I love girls brunch. I love our girls trips. But sometimes I just want to go out with masculine energy. Like, I just want to go out with one of my male friends. I don't need him to pay. Like, we're friends. There's no expectation for that. Sometimes I'm like, hey, I'll treat. These are my friends. So there's no expectation. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Most of my male friends do spoil me. Like, they either treat me like a little sister or like a best friend. They rarely let me pay. But that's not my expectation. But sometimes I just like to go out with a man and get dressed up because they'll appreciate it even still. Like, my friends be like, oh, who you getting cute for? You trying to pick somebody up at our dinner? And I'm like, yup. So make sure you make it very clear. Like, I need you to call me sis or cuz at least 3 times very loudly. But it's nice to just, or ask your friends, do you think I ask my friends all the time, am I coming off this way or am I doing something, and they're like, girl, you just want a compliment. And I'm like, okay. Like, yeah, I do. So sometimes, we just want to be around somebody of the opposite sex, and it's not even about intimacy. Like, I don't want to sleep with them. I just really want to hang out with one of my guy friends. It's a different kind of vibe. It's a different kind of conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Talk openly.
about things like I love sports. So my girls ain't really trying to talk about that. So if I want to go to a basketball game or a football game, I'm going to grab one of my guy friends. Like, hey, you want to go check out, a basketball game, or you want to go do this? And they're like, I live next to the Braves Stadium, So it's like, hey, you want to check out a game? You want to walk over to the game? They're more likely to say yes than my girlfriend's like baseball. No.
So do you think, so one of the things, do you think that having a female friend is helpful? A male friend is actually helpful in your relationship. And I say that because I think as women and men, we actually feel the energy of the opposite or same sex. So you might meet another woman that your friend is interested in, and all of a sudden you feel her energy. And he might meet a man you're interested in, and he feels his energy while you don't. So that's kind of like somebody who's out there actually being a guide in a kind of a function that you wouldn't be able to identify in the sense where, right, because he will say, he just picked a red cup up and drank out of it. Right. I can tell you what that means. So do you think that
that's a hard question to answer, because honestly, I think having male friends helped me date better.
How so?
So I had a male friend sit me down once, and so I guess tonight's the night for transparency. And he was like, I was crying, and I was like, I'm a good woman, and I was telling him what I was going through, and he knew, like, he's been there through pretty much all of my relationships since I want to say 28. And he looked me in my face and he let me cry, and he said, I don't want to see you cry more. He said, but I got to tell you this because I don't want to see you cry more. And this was last year. He said, you're desperate, and that's a turnoff. He said, you're way too beautiful to be this desperate. He was like, and none of your girlfriends are going to tell you, but you're dating all wrong. He was like, and I wouldn't even be your friend, and it would be no point in having a female friend if I couldn't see her doing something so destructive to her own spirit, her own soul, her own goals to have a healthy partner, and not tell her she playing herself literally every time she meet a guy. And I was bawling. Like, what? And he was like, Lynnette, it doesn't matter how good of a woman you are. Like, it just comes off overwhelming. Like, you just scream, I need a man. And I was like, what? And I was like, can you give me an example? He was like, everything you do is just desperate. And, most people would have said that was mean. But that was really the best thing he could have did for me. And let me take this back. This wasn't a year ago. This was in December. So 6 months ago. But what he did is it was a spiritual shift in me, that a woman, I probably wouldn't have received that well at all. But because it was my male friend, he dates enough women. And so now he's even seeing a shift in me. He was like, well, I ain't tell you to be this hard on the guys, girl. Like, you done went from one stream to the other. But the point was, a female friend couldn't have given that to me. I would have thought she was being a hater, or she was just bitter, or whatever. But he's like, I'm your friend, and I'm just gonna tell you that last thing you did, that was a pygmisha move, and I would have used you too. Like, to hear my own best friend tell me, yeah, I would have used you too. I would have did that too. And I know he a good guy. It put my own shortcomings in perspective. But I think it's important, not only can it happen, it's important for us to be intentional about having opposite sex friendships, because they can hold us accountable in the way our same sex friends can. And I think that holds for men too. If your boy telling you, you know, you a dog out here, all he gonna do is point to all the times you was a dog. But your female friend could be like, nah, Clint, you know I love you.
Yep.
But did that girl deserve all that? You with me. Keep it real with me. And you might be like, you know what? Nah, she didn't. But your boy, you're gonna be like, man, get out of here. You just did such and such last week. You're not even gonna receive it. Yeah. So it's important. I think it's critical to healthy relationships crossways.
Right. It's a balance.
Yeah, it's a balance, because we can call each other out. And again, the key word is real friendships. Because real friendships can call each other out. But saying, like, when he did that to me, it stopped me. And then I went back and thought to all of the things I had been doing. And I was like, wow, nobody even would get to recognize I was a good woman because you were annoying. And to even receive that from myself. That's why it's interesting when people ask me, are you ready to date? I wouldn't be if I ain't had no male friends, because I was just out here clueless that the things I was doing was off-putting to men. And so I tell people this because I don't ever want them to think I'm coming on here like the expert who hasn't had to do the work or have those experiences. Because
so
I had.
So Clint, have you had the reverse of what Lynnette has, as far as having a woman that has helped you to land a relationship with another woman?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's for me, it was, I don't want to say the upper hand, because I grew up in a house with two women. So, you know, even though they try to keep their secrets, I could still listen through the door. I could still, you know, back in the day, you can peep through the keyhole. But, you know, yeah, having a female friend, sometimes a real female friend who, like her male friend, who doesn't have a problem letting you know where you stand, if you right, you wrong, however it go. You know, what you should do, what you maybe you shouldn't do. But in the end, it's up to you what you do and how you do it. But a real friend gonna let you know off the rip. No cut on it, nothing.
So to answer the question, can men and women be friends? The answer is unequivocally, it depends.
I think
well, no, it's yes.
That's what we're landing on this.
People.
That's what we're landing on this.
Yeah. Healed people can.
Yeah,
because
here's the thing. No, I would say the answer to that actually is, can men and women be friends? You need to find a way to make that a yes. You need to find a way to have opposite sex people in your life. And if you don't, then you need to question why you can't.
Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna question why I can't. I got a whole bunch of reasons. I could do a whole show why I question those reasons. So,
and I mean, and it's real.
It could be insecurity. It could be jealousy. It could be a lot of different things. But I want to catch things. I want to nip it in the bud before it starts. That's just me. That's just me.
But
it's insecurity. I know you're gonna say. it's insecurity. I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
I don't think it is. Insecurity. You wish that why you can't. Like, if I'm telling somebody I can't be friends with the opposite sex, I need to do a self-check and be like, why can't you be friends with the opposite sex? Are you hypersexual, where you feel like you have to sleep with every man you're cool with? Are you insecure, where you feel like you're gonna fall for every nice guy? Are you untrusting, that you think men have ulterior? It could be a myriad of reasons, but not why other people, but why you. If you as an individual don't have at least one healthy opposite sex relationship, there is something internal going on that you can't look at the opposite sex and that's not gay and see them as non-sexual. You should be able to do that. At least one person in your life where
Agreed.
you're like,
Yeah.
I grew up with them, or I've known this person,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this is
Or
my
I work with them. You know, what I mean, a lot of times it's networking.
And,
Yeah.
and the people you work with, half the time, you're not trying to have a relationship
Yeah,
with.
you like, I need a reference, so I need to keep this. You know,
Right.
I need to
You
keep
need
these
to keep
people.
this 100. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, like you should be able to have an opposite sex, like at least one.
Yeah.
Like none. That's a red flag to me. Cause to me, if a man tell me he don't have no female friends, the first thing I think is you cheating. And because you're doing too much to hide, you ain't got. So I'm looking at your Facebook, your Facebook profile or Instagram, and you got all these followers that are females, and you telling me you don't interact with any of them. You ain't DM nobody since 2018. Yeah, I'm
They
gonna.
all sending him. They all sending him requests.
Yeah. So all these people you don't have any interaction with. So I would tend to look at that person like they're being dishonest. That would be a red flag to me because, and I had a friend like that, before. I used to tell her, being your boyfriend sounds exhausting. She didn't want any of her boyfriends to have any female relationships. I said, girl, that don't even sound realistic. She didn't want him to like nobody pictures on Facebook that was a female. She didn't want him to have no female friends. She didn't want him to even look at a female by mistake in the grocery store. And I was like, girl, dating you sound like prison. Like that's not realistic. Like, it's a
I've been there
clear.
too.
I
Well,
would
there
run.
too.
I
Well,
that would frighten me if a
Yes.
person just was like, I don't even want you. Why did you speak to that guy in the grocery store? That would freak
Right.
me out. So I actually encourage my partner, like, hey, tell me who the three women are in your life that you highly respect and what is your relation to them? That's actually a question I ask when I start getting serious with somebody. Who are the three women in your life? What's your relationship to them? And how would they show up in this relationship? So like if we had a problem, would you talk to one of those three women and trust their advice? If you wanted to surprise me, would you ask those three women for input? Would I ever meet those three women? I need to know who those top three women are, and I would tell him who my top three men were. I feel it would be a fair exchange.
and we're gonna leave it right there because we're now in overtime. I'm thinking, and we can talk about this throughout the week, but the tentative topic for next week will be the double standard of aging and dating, why women face more pressure. So that's just basically, saying, if women have, a double standard, guys, they say we age like wine, but women, you get older, you talk to Jenny, she say, hey, you guys want the 20-something-year-old all the time. I disagree. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do nothing with a 25-year-old. I just can't.
I don't know.
So,
Y'all older men always gone and get
Look,
y'all a younger one.
oh
Every
my
man I ever stopped dating
gosh.
got with
Oh
somebody
my
10 years younger than
gosh.
me
Here you
afterward.
go. Here's
I'm just
Lynnette.
saying. I'm just
Here's
saying.
Lynnette
I,
on the
I done
retreat.
got rid of all my belts, so I ain't got time for no kids.
That's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So
Ain't got time for no kids.
I thank y'all for coming out this Friday, but we're gonna wrap it up here,
Yes.
and
And
we'll
I'm
talk
going
to
to go
y'all
enjoy
next.
lovely Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Have fun out
Enjoy
there in
yourself,
Costa
love.
Rica.